Ciao, everyone, and welcome back to Growth Talks. I'm Raffaele, your host, and my guest today is Neville Medhora. Neville, how
Thanks
are
for
you
having me.
today, man?
Appreciate it. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this one. I really wanted to do this one with you. Here on the podcast, we usually start with a simple one, a classic. So, what's your story? Who's Neville?
Yeah, in a nutshell, I was just a kid in high school and I got interested in making money kind of by accident. I started selling CDs on the side, burning MP3s and stuff back in the day. And I started making money. And I honestly never had any idea what to do with it. I just saved it. There's nothing for me to do in high school that I could do. So then in college, I started a business called House of Rave. And it was an e-commerce store. And I thought it was brilliant because I thought I invented this model of drop shipping, which now, everyone does, right? You sell stuff, but someone else ships it out. They actually physically keep it. So I did that with a supplier in California, and that paid for a lot of my college. And so I had extra money. And I remember one year in my second year of college, I was like, wait, I can use this money to buy things. And I bought speakers and I bought a new computer and I bought a screen and it showed up to my place. And I was like, oh my God, like you can make money online and buy things with it. And that was like the big click. And so I always started these little businesses in college. By the time I graduated, I was making more money than I could at a job. I think I probably could have made like $75,000 a year back then with a job. And I was making more than that. And so I thought, well, why not do this? The upside is unlimited. And if I fail, I could always go get a job, right? And so since then, yeah, I never had a job out of college. I always did this kind of stuff. And then around 2011, 12, my buddy Noah Kagan was building one of his side projects called AppSumo off of my couch. And I ended up joining that company and taking equity in that company and writing all the emails. And that email list grew really big. And that's where copywriting comes in. So they were sending out to about 50,000 people every week for these email deals, and they were just bad emails. And meanwhile, my business was being greatly benefited by me writing these really good emails. So I said, what if I take this skill, apply it there? And sure enough, it was the first like $10,000 profit day that AppSumo ever had. So Noah was like, wow, maybe this really works. And even I was surprised by it. I was like, holy crap. And so we tried it again and again and again, and it grew really, really quickly. And then since then, I've been part of a bunch of different software companies, different agencies, notably like The Hustle that sold to HubSpot. So I've been part of a lot of these companies that have email and writing and content as their core. And I just noticed that usually these companies that do really well with content at their core, the core founder is really good with content. So I do think that content is very valuable skill. And people always ask me, they're like, Neville, where's the best copywriters? And I'm like, I think a lot of them own businesses. So if they don't own their own like traditional business, they own a copywriting freelance business. And so I do think that there is like this entrepreneurial streak in a lot of copywriters that I've met, and the best ones often own very large businesses. Yeah. And so that brings me to Copywriting Course. A lot of people were asking us, how are you writing these emails? With AppSumo, we're sending out an email every day selling something. And people were like, even though you're selling me something, I want to read your emails. What's going on? And I was like, it's this thing called copywriting. Here's how you do it. And then after a while, I was like, okay, I'm repeating myself so much. Let me start a course. That's where Copywriting Course got started. And so what we do is we train people to write better. So it's like a set of videos that you watch, and that's step one. Then the next thing we notice is if you just show me something like an email and I make it better, you learn a lot faster. So we started like a whole review forum where the whole point is like you post your copy, whether it's a sales page, email, landing page, homepage, YouTube script, whatever it is. And myself and other professional writers give feedback on it and update it, oftentimes just rewrite it. And then you go, oh, that's how to make it better. And the cool thing is once people learn those things, they can just forever make everything that they send out much better. So when you're creating content, as you know, Raphael, like if you send out 1 or 2 or 3 great pieces in your lifetime, that could be your whole career. So that's what we try to do. We try to optimize everyone's writing that they put out to the world, because the information that you put out to the world now is so scalable with the internet that it's very important to get it right. So yeah, and that's how we ended here with Copywriting Course. And then I have a site called Swipe File where I collect all the marketing that I like and just put that out for free. And that's just like a free site. It pays for itself. Yeah, those are my main 2 things right now.
Nice. And I was curious, what did you study at university? Was it somehow related to business, marketing, or?
I bet like a lot of people, it was completely inconsequential. It was political science and business. So I kind of wanted to go to law school. And political science, I think, should have been called statistics. It should have been, that's what it was mainly. So, and then like some government law stuff, but it had no bearing on it whatsoever. I think it probably taught me the opposite, actually. When the people that don't want to use good copywriting the most, that are most incentivized to not use good copywriting, lawyers. They want it to be obscure. They want it to be long. They want you to be confused. They want you to be bored. So you don't read through everything. You know, you click one of those like accept all terms, whatever, 47 pages. Why can't they just tell you in 3 lines, hey, we're taking all your data? Because that doesn't sound good. They want to obscure it. So I actually went to school for the profession that most rewards the worst copywriting.
Yeah. I totally agree. And also, it makes me feel stupid every time I read something like that. I feel
That's
like,
the goal.
I don't understand. Oh, what's going on? I don't know what this is. So
you get tired and you click accept, and that's it. You have no idea. And buried in section 83.2.5-A is like some, we're going to steal all your data.
Yeah. So my question is, how did you find copywriting? I mean, you were studying something else. You were kind of passionate about it. Was it random? What happened there?
Well, I actually had a business. I was selling these rave products back in the day. Like I said, I had a drop shipping business, and I had 7,500 emails of previous customers. So people who had already paid me and opted into my email newsletter. And a friend kept I heard from all these marketing people, it's like the money is in the email newsletter. And back in the day, this was like not as common knowledge, right? So I thought, let me try it. Let me send it out. And I was sending out emails with like big pictures. And I was taking a lot of pictures, taking like 20 hours to write each edition because I was taking pictures for it, making custom stuff, photoshopping things, making it all line up and everything. It was very difficult. And I was making no money on them. Every time I sent out an email, maybe I got 1 or 2 orders at most. I was actually going negative because it costs $80 a month to host the service. And I was making maybe $40 on profit. So I just thought, that's just how it is. Like you send it out, keep on top of mind. Maybe someone will buy some other day. Then a friend told me to read the Gary Halbert letters. And you can find these online. The Gary Halbert, the boron letters is what they're called. And he wrote these from jail to his son on how to sell. And I remember reading those and staying up till 6 a.m. every night. And I was excited and mad at the same time. I was excited that I learned this new skill called copywriting. I was really mad that I was doing everything wrong in the past. I was like, damn, how much money have I like wasted by sending out things the wrong way? And so that month I was like, I'm going to send out my first properly copywritten letter. And what it was like using the AIDA formula, attention, interest, desire, action, to send out an email, having like a premise. Why am I selling this? Right. So that was a big thing. Like a lot of times it'd be like, buy this now. And people were like, why? What like if I just send you buy this now, why? Well, what's the deal? Maybe if it's Christmas, maybe there's a reason to buy something, gifts for someone. That makes sense. Maybe if it's Halloween, you're going to dress up with something. That's a reason. So I had to invent a reason to sell something. And so there was a reason. I actually had too many of something in stock, these finger lights. And we had so many of them that we couldn't sell them as fast. And so I wrote this whole story, how we need to get rid of them now. They're taking up space. We need to get them out the door. And I put all the different reasons people should buy them. You know what? I thought these finger lights were for people dancing, just, like dancing like that. Not true. Because I would pick up the phone for customer service. And one time someone bought 50 of them. And I was like, why did you buy 50 packages of finger lights? So 50 times 10, it's like 500 finger lights. They're a plumbing company, plumbing, like with fixing toilets and things like that.
Yeah.
And they said that their guys can't get all the way under. So they have like a headlamp, but they can't always get way back. So they put these on their fingers to see back there. And I was like, I never would have thought of that. Right. Someone told me their kid has autism and the finger lights like help them kind of like calm down. One parent told me that their kids check for monsters under their bed with that thing. MTV bought 200, 300 or something like that. MTV, the network, that had some show, and they were using it for Halloween decorations and for lights on like a laser gun, like on TV. And I wrote down all these reasons because I didn't think of these reasons. And maybe these people buying them didn't even think of these reasons. And so people thought like, oh, I can use them for Halloween. I can use them for my kids. I can use them for when I dance. I can use them as a flashlight at night when I go camping, and they're really cheap. So you just throw them away. They're disposable. Right. And so I wrote this perfectly copywritten email. My first $10,000 profit day, I sold out of them. I had to find a new supplier to get more, even though I had too many. And so it was the first time that an email had worked for me really well. And I applied all these copywriting principles. So just imagine that, going from like negative $40 per email to making 10,000. And I was like, something's here. So that's what you asked. The original question was how I got into copywriting. That motivation of like, okay, that completely changed the outcome. And all I did was change the words around. And here's the funny thing. I spent less time on this email than I did the other emails that I was doing wrong, with all the images and just over the top big buttons and stuff. It was so much easier for me to write this quick story than do that. And so I was like, okay, something's to this. Like the way that you approach a sale matters a lot.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I applied those copywriting principles to kind of everything I did, and it worked really well. And they started teaching it to other people because they kept hiring me to do it for them. And I was like, well, I don't have enough time to do this, so I'll just teach you and you could do it. So yeah, we've taught, I think 12,000 plus people. I mean, probably like 20,000 plus more, but for Copywriting Kourse, at least 12,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the best part of the story is that everything started when you read emails from the customer service. So talking with your customer was the key to writing a great email.
Well, a lot of people.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Let's say I want to sell cars, right? Let's say a Ford F-150 pickup truck. What I would do is, I don't know anything about Ford F-150 pickup trucks, right? I'm just some guy. I don't have a truck, so I don't know anything. What I would do is I'd go to the Ford dealership. I would say, who is your top sales guy? I'll pay him $100 just to talk to him for 20 minutes. And you get a meeting with this guy and you tell him, what do people get really excited about? When you say something, where do their eyes light up and where do they just go like, okay, whatever. So let's say, for example, the guy says, when I talk about horsepower, that the Ford F-150 has 400 horsepower, people go like, okay, cool. Whatever. Like it doesn't mean anything in their head, right? Yeah. But if you say you can tow 7 horses, right? And they go, oh my God, that's a lot of horses. I don't know, just give me an example. But you go, oh, that's interesting that they lit up when they heard that. Something activated in their brain that made them interested in that. When I just said the number 400 horsepower, they didn't care at all. So as a copywriter, I would say 7 horses. You can tow 7 horses, and 400 horsepower, cross that out because that doesn't matter. Maybe I'll put it somewhere in the spec sheet, but that's not going to be the main headline. And then I say, when you're showing them the truck, like what do they ask about? Like what are they really fascinated about? So for example, maybe they'll say, oh, when we flip down the back of the bed, it has steps and you can just walk right into it. And people love doing that. And they love that you push a button and it just closes automatically. And I go, okay. So that's what people are really, really interested in. And so you go to someone who actually knows about this industry. So I know you do a lot of content. I bet you do consultations with people. One of the things that I always try to, I love about consultations, I get to learn about their industry. They think I'm going to come in and write all their copy. I'm like, no. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to do it with you because I don't know anything about your industry. You're going to tell me everything and I'm just going to steal it and write it down. So that's, I think, a really, really big deal of like figuring out who's the best salesperson at something and asking them like what features, what qualities, what specific things make people's eyes, light up. And that's how you figure out what you're going to say. That's how you figure out what your image is going to be. That's how you figure out what your headline is going to be. That's my number one tip, is figuring out like the kernel that they really love.
Emotions, not features.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes features are good, like for software, it's all features and stuff. And like, what can you do with it? So you don't have to go necessarily super emotional. And I don't always think you have to go for just emotion, but what elicits a response? So it could be emotional. It could be specs. For example, if you're selling AI chips or something like that to a hardware company, they want the fastest processor. That matters. So when you say it's 3 gigaflops or whatever, and they go, whoa, that's all I care about. Whether it's technical or emotional, doesn't matter, because some products are technical, some products are emotional. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever gets their attention is what I really want to know. Yeah. Why are they really buying it?
And do you think that this kind of approach can be used in every industry? I'm asking this because, sometimes I do a bit of teaching and coaching, and there is always someone from, some strange B2B industry and say, oh, that's easy for you in the B2C world because you sell, stuff to kids and teenagers. My industry is different. My industry is hard. Everything. Do you think this approach can be used in every industry?
I've heard that every industry thinks they're special. They think they're different. So here's the thing. There's many different industries. There's many different ages of people. There's many different things people are interested in. And there's different technology too. Selling online is a little bit different than selling offline. But you know what hasn't changed at all in the last 10,000 years? This and your brain. It's the same thing. There's been no difference in our brain versus like a caveman brain from a long time ago. It's essentially the same thing. So what gets people interested is usually going to be something that makes them look better, makes them richer, saves them time, makes them cooler, or they just have to buy it, like insurance. Like you have to buy insurance. So there's a couple of reasons why people buy. And it's the same with everyone. And here's the thing. You have to, like I said, you have to understand the true motivation. Have you ever worked with a big company before, or like a mid-sized company with like over 100 employees?
Yeah.
So what happens is if you're working with the founder one-on-one, you say, make this change, and he makes a change right away and it's done. You work with the company, let's say 500 people. Well, he has to talk to his manager, and his manager goes to a weekly meeting where he brings up something, proposes something, and right? There's many steps of bureaucracy. So maybe the change you suggest might be made in 3 months and have to go through like 7 different people. What I learned a long time ago was, let's say you're working with the big company and you say, this product is going to save the company a lot of money. That's not why they're buying it, because it's not just a company, it's a set of people. It's 500 people. And so what that person that's working with you wants is he wants to go to his meeting with his boss and look good. So even if he's spending a lot of money and not making the company money, if it looks good for whatever reason, like this product gets you a lot of traffic, but it's all garbage traffic, to him, he's like, it gets me a lot of traffic and I get to show my boss that chart. It's going up. So he looks good. So you have to understand what is actually happening. Who are you trying to make look good, and revolve your sale around that sometimes. So even with like a B2B company, they think, well, my company is different, right? You have to figure out, okay, overall, people are going to buy something for a certain specific set of reasons. And it's almost always the same. But I let them go. So yeah, you do have like an interesting industry. I think certain things are different, but these things are going to be the same. Why do people really want to buy it? Is it going to save them time? How do we make this person look good to their boss? And it's almost always the same. I actually don't try to like really convince them otherwise anymore. I kind of go along with it halfway and say like, this is different in your industry, but these things are the same. And it's kind of like a compromise. I don't try to like overpower them. I used to say like, no, you don't understand. Now I don't bother with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see that a lot?
Yeah.
With everyone in there.
I always tell them, if everyone is special, no one is special. That's the thing. So if every industry is different, it means that
well, what way? How do you approach it whenever someone says that? What do you do? What have you found that works well?
Yeah, I usually tell them that, my previous, 5 clients have told me the same. And I list them all the industries.
Yeah,
just to show that there is no, that we are not selling to companies, but we are selling to people. Because most of the time they say, yeah, but, we sell to other companies. And I try to make them understand that there is no selling to companies. You sell to someone in that company. So it's always human to human. That's the key of every, business relationship. I try to work on that idea usually.
That's a great way to approach it. Another way that I've found is to basically just take stock of what's going on around them and show them that if we make a small test and we get a better result, let's say we send out just a 10% of your emails and we get a better result with the email we wrote, then we go with that. And if not, we stick with yours. That's it. Small test. That's it. And they're usually more comfortable with that. Yeah. Because just remember, a lot of times, especially if you're working with a big company, they have managers and stuff. So they're always nervous that breaking this pattern that they've done in the past is going to be bad. And so I have to convince them, like, let's just try a small test. It's not a big deal. Yeah. That's the other method I use. And they usually are okay with that. Then they see the results, like this works 4 times better. And they're like, oh yeah, this is the right way.
Since we are sharing experiences with clients, have you seen like a common mistake they make, of course, regarding, copywriting? Is there like a common mistake that you see often working with companies?
Yeah, the emails are boring. There's too much sales, right? They're not educational, and just no one pays attention to them, right? It's just, you're just sending emails out and they just don't get read. It's like, how can we make this interesting? So I think they're trying to sell each time. Where I'm just like, what if we educate? That's all. Our job is to educate. Maybe not even about all of our products. Maybe if you get someone's email address and get their newsletter, but they don't read any of your newsletters, it doesn't matter. It's gone. If they look forward to every newsletter, even if you don't make a sale on that newsletter, you have 100 chances to make a sale over time. I mean, you're a content creator as well. I bet people follow your newsletter. 3 years later, they buy something, right? For 3 years, they buy nothing from you. I get the same thing. I have people for 11 years that follow me, and then they finally buy something. And so they just, because they want to follow along my newsletter, and when it's time for them to buy, when that matches up to what I'm selling, then they buy. And so I think a lot of people just try to sell too hard, and people don't like that. They don't like just being like, here's a bunch of products, buy this. It's just not something they want. And now there's so many emails in your inbox, you have to be more careful, right? If you just keep selling me sales and I don't want to hear about them, I didn't really sign up for your email newsletter to be blasted to me 5 times a week, I'll unsubscribe. And the tools to unsubscribe are getting better and better. And Google is more efficient at placing promotions away from the main inbox. And so you have to be delivering good value to people. And the cool thing is with email, you don't have to do this all the time. People think like, oh, we don't have time to like write an email every week. I'm like, you just write these emails at one point and put them in an autoresponder, right? So like ConvertKit, an email sequence. So if someone signs up to my website for 6 months, they get emails. I'm not writing them. I wrote them in the past. And people are like, how do you send out so much good stuff? It's like, well, I wrote this all in the past. I didn't write it as you're reading it. And so that's the kind of thing where copywriting is very scalable, that you could take 1 week, write a couple of good emails, write a couple of good sales pages, put it out, and it keeps working for years. That's a very scalable skill to have.
And you said that the key is delivering value. How do you do that?
What do they really want to hear about? For example, with AppSumo, when I said we were sending emails every day, what we were originally doing is just saying like, oh, you get $100 off this software. That's it. That was the whole thing. So you're like, okay, that's some value. You're saving money, right? That's kind of nice. But it's like, why would you want to buy the software? A lot of people don't know much about the software. So I remember one of the first big hits we had there was a company called Grasshopper. And it basically makes a phone tree. So if someone calls customer service or texts customer service, it routes them to the correct place. And it puts that hold music, like do, 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 do. And then it directs them. They say, which department do you want to go to? You press 1 for shipping department. In reality, it was just one person picking up the phone. It was me. There was no different departments, but it makes you sound big. Now, who would want this? It was companies like mine that were smaller, but want to look bigger. It was dental offices. It was lawyer offices where they were like relatively small company and you just need a little bit of time to direct to the right place. And so this phone tree service was very good at making small people look big. People who are not super professional look very professional, right? And so I showed how I personally use this to make my company look like a proper, legit company and help my customers get routed to the right area so I could be ready when I take their call. And by showing them how this makes me money, how this saves me time, they learn how they can make money and save time and look better, right? And so then they say, oh, cool. Now at the end of it, there's $100 off. I want the software, right? If I just said $100 off, but I'm like, what does it do? It's a phone tree. Like, why would I'm a lawyer. I don't need that. Then I show them my whole story of how I used it and how other people have used it. And they go, oh, I can make it seem really, really professional and have more time to pick up the phone. And so once they understand all of those things, that's what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm not trying to sell. I'm trying to educate. And yes, of course, at the end, I'm giving an offer that like, if you want to buy this right now, here's the time and do it right now. You'll get $100 off. Why waste $100 doing it later? Do it now. So as you can see, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to sell to you. I'm trying to sell to you by educating you, not just by selling you. So that's a much better argument. Like why you're going to look better. You're going to look more professional. You're going to make it much better for your customers. And I'm going to save you some money by doing it now. That's a much better reason than just like buy this now, right? So it's taking that extra time to put that in, which is more difficult, but it makes a huge impact on sales.
Yeah. And the ROI is big. I mean, it takes time, especially at the
Well,
beginning, but then it works.
also just remember, for a company like AppSumo or something like that, or the Hustle, where you're sending out an email every single day, you will annoy people very quick if you're not delivering a lot of value, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do this kind of thing. And if you do it really well, people enjoy reading your newsletters, and then they share them, and then it grows and it makes it available to more people. And then you make a lot more money, so you can afford to send out more emails and hire more people to write and things like that. So it really does make a big difference. But if you're just going to say like, here's a piece of crap email, and just keep sending those out day after day, you'll just watch your numbers just go down, right? You have to do a good job at it.
If you are enjoying this episode, please check out my lead generation course. You can watch it for free on gaito.link/skillshare, GAITO. As an entrepreneur, marketer, or business owner, you know how crucial lead generation is. In this course, I'll be sharing with you 20 proven tactics for lead generation in both B2B and B2C markets. You can watch it for free on gaito.link/skillshare, GAITO. You'll find the link in the description. Neville, one topic I want to discuss with you is the AI in the copywriting world. So,
yeah, big.
one of the when we started using ChatGPT, now it's been a year and a half, maybe more. Maybe one of the first group of people saying, "Oh, we're gonna lose our job because of AI," was people that were writing, basically. So they saw ChatGPT and they were kind of scared of losing their jobs. What do you think about this whole thing? I mean, what's the role of ChatGPT or generative AI in general in copywriting right now in 2024?
Yeah, I've invested in AI writing companies and stuff, so I'm pretty familiar with this. And let me break it down. This is the easiest way to say it. What I've noticed is that there's 3 different types of writing. So there's low end writing. That's like you get a notification on Instagram, and Instagram sends you an email, says, "Hey, you got a notification." That's like a template. Anyone can do that. That's gone, right? ChatGPT can do that so easily. That's just like knocked out of the park. In fact, that was already kind of done. The next one is like what I call mid-level writing. You're sending an email to someone, maybe a sale, just like a notification, an update, a news broadcast, something like that. Just mid-level writing. It's not the world's best, but it's just like notifying you of something, giving you an update, so just something basic like that. Then I say there's like high-end writing. That's like Balaji Srinivasan or Mark Andreessen, the venture capitalist, talking on Twitter, right? Analyzing whole things, giving hot takes about it. AI is not good at that yet. Maybe in the future, absolutely, but not yet. So I would say for the lower end writing and mid-level writing, AI is kind of going to take those things. Absolutely. Yes. So will it completely take your job? No. But if you're doing all low end stuff, it probably will. If you're doing higher end stuff, talking to people, consulting, analyzing industry patterns, all that stuff I think is still safe for a while. In the future, who knows how advanced this gets? But at the same time, I think what you're actually doing as a copywriter or even as a freelance business, I don't know about you, but most people aren't coming to me just to like update their emails. It's oftentimes about strategy. It's oftentimes about emails along with their sales page, also like how they're pricing things. It's like, it's all of the above. It's like actually a large skill set that's very valuable. That will still stay around. But if you're just someone that's writing for like, 1 cent a word or something like that, like notification emails, yeah, that's going to be gone. I mean, that's done. The other thing is you can turn low end writing into high end writing, right? So let's say you're sending out an email so for example, we have a forum and it sends out an email that just says like, Neville responded to your comment, right? That's low end stuff. Like that's a template. Anyone can do that. Is there a way that I can make that more interesting, right? Is there something else I could put in there along with that notification to be like, also, you might have been reading about this. What if you did this? Is there a way I can turn low end writing into high end writing? That's a big thing. So some people think like, oh, these notifications are done for, like no one will ever write them. It's like, can we do something about that? Can we change these? Can we make these better? That's another thing. And so I do think also SEO has been dramatically impacted by this. For example, there's things called library sites. let's say you're typing in, what is a clincher sentence? And you look that up on Google. In the past, you would look it up on Google and find a link and click it and then go there. Now with their generative search, which is like 4 or 5 months old, and honestly, it's really, really, really good. It answers the question right up top. You don't have to click anything. And I love using this. I don't want to click on links. So I just read that. I'm done. I leave. Those sites that do library stuff like that, that's not a good place to be at the moment, right? You're just at a place in history where that's going to be less. Not all of it, right? Not all of SEO is dead by any means, but at the same time, there are going to be giant restructurings. So those types of sites, and you're relying on those and just putting Google AdSense up, I think that's gone. So unless you're there giving like examples of clincher sentences and more, that's going to be a tough space to be. And I think AI is going to be so good at these like library questions that are already answered on the internet that's going to be a tough space to compete. Personally, I would not want to be in that space. So I think go ahead.
No, I think for both the examples that you made, the key is, I mean, you should ask yourself, where is the value? I mean, if you are just, pushing keys on a keyboard, where is the value? If you're just building, a blog with, as you say, library stuff, where is the value? So if you're building something else, a real business, or somehow connecting the dots in an industry.
Well, what about this? What about, so let's say I have copywritingkourse.com, right? And I had a blog post called "What is a clincher sentence?" and it ranked number 1. And now it's gone down, 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 down. It gets no traffic. What if I had made that blog? Here's how I used these clincher sentences to make $500,000 more per year. And I showed on my different businesses how I added those to each one's. Now I'm adding specific examples. That's interesting. That's something a little bit different. But just saying, like you said, no value, like taking the thesaurus definition or the dictionary definition, just saying what is a clincher sentence, is done for. We want human stories, personal stories, stuff that can help me, that stuff that can save me time, something that can save me money or make me money, or give me back my time. So, or make me better. So we want those types of things. Those types of stories will still really do well. And honestly, I see a lot of this also going to video. I mean, one of the things with generative AI that I've seen happening is it's like, okay, where does this go in 5 years? And if all my traffic is coming from SEO and SEO is like going down, what we did was like about 2 years ago, started really going hard into doing podcasts like this, and then breaking it up into clips. And now we get more leads from social media than we do from SEO. For the first time in 20 years, that has flipped for me. SEO was like a joke, or sorry, social was a joke, and SEO was like the real thing. Now SEO is just declining like crazy for a lot of people, and the social media stuff is where everyone's hanging out. And here's the thing: search engine optimization. It used to be people searched for stuff and then found it on Google, but now people are just on Instagram. They're browsing. They're on Facebook. They're on TikTok. They're on YouTube. And it's like, if you could be on the top of that algorithm, that's like the new form of search engine optimization. How do you be on top of people's minds as much as possible? And I think that's one of the new ways. So we've hedged our bets with a lot of this kind of stuff, and then we'll break this up into clips and put it out and things like that. So it's shifted. Is it going to take your job? I don't know if it will take your job per se, but it will shift your job around a whole hell of a lot. Can I tell you why I'm not as scared as some people? I feel like I'm a little bit adaptable, I think. And I'm a realist. That's just like certain parts of this profession will be changed, right? For example, I used to know how to do Photoshop back in the day, like 20 years ago. And because I could do Photoshop, I could put images online. And that was really difficult. Now it's so easy. You use AI to do that. Use Canva. You get all these templates. It's so easy to make images. All the social networks help you do it. But that was like my big edge back then. So you have to relearn and have new edges each time. And one of the things that I think people need to learn is not just to like write, but become like a full stack writer, right? I need to be able to, if someone hires me as a writer, I need to be versed in like pricing stuff. I need to be versed in writing really good content, but good content involves making cool images, making cool graphs, analyzing things, doing research. It's not just like simply typing out an email anymore. It's like this whole other thing. So when someone says like, I want you to write a blog post for me, They don't just want to write a blog post and put it out. They want it to rank in Google. They want it to be able to be shared. I like making content where I can take stuff from that. Like if I make a graph for a blog post, I could then use it in my newsletter. I could then use it on social media. I could then use it as a slide in one of my YouTube videos. I want to make content that could be reused over and over and over. So I think like being like a full stack writer is probably the way to go, not just being someone that just types emails or something, because there is going to be this encroachment with AI as it gets better and better and better.
What's the first step? I mean, if someone is listening now and they are thinking, "Oh, this is cool. I really want to be a full stack copywriter." What's the first step to do this transition?
Start writing. We usually train people who already write, but we also do freelancers and things like that. And a lot of people will say, they'll see YouTube videos, oh, you make 100,000 a year just on your computer on a beach or something. And I'm like, have you ever written anything? And they go, no. I'm like, okay, well, we don't even know if you're going to like this, right? Why don't you write 3 blog posts? So the first step is write 3 blog posts. That's it. Just actual blog posts. Sit down and write 3 blog posts. Tell me what you think of that experience. If you can't get through that exercise, you probably shouldn't be a copywriter. You don't like writing. That means you don't like writing. Then the other thing is, I'm a really big fan of people recording videos and people making images. I think those are very valuable skills that put you way ahead of other copywriters. And there's so many tools out there that help you do this so easy. Canva is free and amazing. And you can make basic images. They're not the best all the time, but it's like, it's something, right? The other thing is, have kind of a unique style. I have a unique style with like a lot of kind of goofy images and things like that. And I try to be a little bit funny. Having a unique style will definitely start to stand out in the coming years. I do think that's a big thing. And then also, I think this broader thing, think of yourself more as an entrepreneur, not just a copywriter. I think sometimes people they put blinders on. They're like, all I can do is write copy. It's like, is that all you can do in life? I think you can do a lot more. So for example, just writing emails for software companies, I do think like, yes, that's a good skill to have, but like, think of yourself as an entrepreneur, a business owner that solves problems, that creates things that sell, that creates things that save time. And so I don't always think, like I said in the beginning, a lot of the best copywriters I know do not run copywriting businesses. They run other businesses, but they're very good at marketing their other products. And so I was like, keep an open mind about it. I bet you see this all the time. When people want to freelance, they'll tell me, I want to be a copywriter. I'm like, why? They heard someone talk about it, but they never written anything. And so I tell them, how about this? Let's be a freelancer in general, not just a copywriter, a freelancer. I'll say, what background do you have? And they go, oh, I have an accounting degree. I used to be an accountant for 5 years. I'm like, can you freelance in something like that? Because you'll make money right away. You don't have to just make this big jump to copywriter where you have no experience. Take something you already have experience in and start freelancing with that. Start a freelance business offering those types of services on the side. And then you could expand from there. And so I always tell people, yeah, just don't narrow your options all the time. Be flexible. You have to be. When I was just graduating from college, going to college from high school, everyone was moving from analog to digital, right? Newspapers, TV, radio, those were king. And the internet was just starting to come up. And people were like, is this real? Is this going to be like a big thing? And soon now, fast forward 20 something years later, it's everywhere. Like you don't even think about something like, did you read that online? Or when you say you read something, people don't even ask if it's online or not. It doesn't matter. It's just part of our lives. There's no online, offline anymore. It's just everything's online all the time. So that transition has happened in my lifetime and I've seen it. And I think if you were a person that's very closed-minded and you thought only newspapers are going to be the way that I go from now on, I think you would have got phased out. Yes, you would have lost your job. You likely would have lost your job or been very underpaid. Whereas if you were open to this new medium that says, instead of a newspaper that can only be read in a local area, I can broadcast my thoughts to the entire world. Those types of people who started blogs, who started going online and publishing their ideas online, flourished during that growth era. Whereas people who did not pay attention to it just got left behind. So be open-minded about this stuff.
Yeah. And do you actually use AI in your day-to-day work?
I use it intermittently and not for what I thought I would use it for. Everyone thought we would use it for just like writing emails. It turns out it writes like Okay emails. So for example, doctor's offices, when they need to reschedule a patient, they need to send them an email or a text, they run it through ChatGPT and write that. That's mid-level, low-level
Mm.
copywriting, right? But if I want to send out an email newsletter and you just have ChatGPT make it, you've seen it. It's kind of like not the greatest.
Yeah.
It's getting better all the time, but it's still not there at all. I mean, it doesn't make great content just yet. And so that type of thing, like I actually don't use it that often for that. And then ideas and coming up with headlines and stuff, sometimes we use it, but I've just noticed that not as much as we thought. And I really wanted to. I really tried. I started putting out all this AI content, and people are kind of like, yeah, that's cool. And then something else new comes out. And I think it's like lost some of the momentum. It's now just becoming a normal tool that everyone's expecting.
Mm.
And I have a feeling what's going to happen in the future, and this is just my prediction, is that is it going to be like human written versus AI written? I think people aren't going to care. I think they don't care so long as it's good, right? If I'm reading good content and like an AI made it, I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me, right? Already we're reading, like if I type in what is a clincher sentence and it describes me, that's AI telling me, but it doesn't matter. I'm getting the information I want. It solved the problem.
Yeah.
What do I care?
I totally agree with that. If there is value, I don't care who wrote it.
Right now, people are like, did a human write this? Okay, look, did a human write an opinion about what's going to happen between the United States and China, and you want to hear a specific person? I think that's still valid. But did they use AI to research it? Probably. Do I care how they did it? I just don't think that distinction is going to be there much longer. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think using AI as your friend rather than your foe is going to be very important. Just like during the dawn of the internet, as it was growing, people who ignored the internet got left behind.
Yeah.
People who used it flourished during that time. So how can you do your same job much more efficient with AI is probably the question. And just ignoring it or wishing it would go away is a bad place to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you said that you are using it, but not the way you thought. So
Exactly.
what's the main use that you do with these tools?
Honestly, I use more than ChatGPT now. I actually use Google's just generative AI search
Okay.
results. So
Okay.
before in the past, for example, here's an easy. I was buying a sauna, right?
Hmm.
And it's very difficult to like find good information about a lot of these things. So I'd say, what's a sauna that can fit in 4 by 6 feet? And it would give me answers. It would basically scour the web for me and give me answers in 2 seconds. And then I could go click those links that I needed to. That's a way that I've been using it a lot more effectively. Honestly, Google, I think, is actually doing a really good job at it. I know they're getting like wasted in the media about it, but they're actually doing a pretty good job. ChatGPT, I thought I'd be writing emails all the time with it. Actually, not at all. Like it just doesn't work good for that yet. It doesn't make stuff that is better than what I can make. It makes basic emails like, how do I reschedule something or write me a quick wedding speech?
Hmm.
And I'll just write it out. And then, so the way I use ChatGPT is let me brainstorm with it, right? I'm writing a book right now and I'll say, write a chapter about a book about this. And it'll come up with some stuff and I'll be like, ooh, that's a good idea, but that's not a good idea. That's a good idea, but that's not a good idea. So I use it as a brainstorming mechanism more so than a final product mechanism. It's like a research tool, I would say, rather than a writing tool.
Yeah,
So that's
brainstorming
the
is
way I ended up using it.
brainstorming is probably the most powerful thing that you can do with ChatGPT, with this tool in
Yes.
general, especially if you work alone. If you don't have a team, you are like a freelancer, you don't have someone to brainstorm with.
Mhm.
Having ChatGPT is a great partner with that.
If you watch videos of early computers in the 50s and 60s when they were like being invented, they were like the number one use case is going to be for storing recipes, right?
Hmm.
Women can store recipes on a computer and pull them up anytime. It turns out that's like 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of what we use computers for. And I think it's difficult to tell in the beginning, like how you're going to use it. But I think we have to break these chains of thought that we're so used to. For example, I can't code very well. I know how to write code, but I can't make anything good. With ChatGPT, you can actually write all the code for certain things. It's not the greatest yet. It's not like 100% there, but now I can say I could build a game of Snake and just do it. I want to make the snake look blue and eat an apple. You just do it and it writes it and it does it. That's a skill that I couldn't do before that I now can do. And so you have to think like, okay, I used to have to hire a developer to make an app or a Chrome extension. Now I can just do it myself. And so I think it's enabling all these different fields of study that you just couldn't do before. And now you can just do it by telling the computer to do it. And so a lot of people think in these narrow terms of like just copywriting. What can I do with copywriting? Now I'm like, forget just the copywriting. That's just the marketing aspect. Can I build a software company myself? Can I do this now? Because before I couldn't. And so it opens up these whole new avenues. So I think, like I said, be flexible with your thinking that like, not just how do I make copywriting better? It's like, what else can I do with this technology?
Yeah. You said that you're writing a book. You want to tell us a bit more, or is it too early?
No, I actually have 2 books. One's called "You're Gonna Die" on Amazon. That was just like it was actually a long blog post that converted to a book. But my most popular book's called "This Book Will Teach You How to Write Better," and it's basically like 40 pages and quickly designed for like in 30 minutes get better at copywriting. And so many people give it to their salespeople and stuff. So that book did really well. And I'm writing another copywriting book. I can't say the name right now, but it's going to be a self-published one. And it's going to be on a topic that like every single person we teach copywriting just like loves this topic. And so I was like, I didn't want to write it. I didn't want to write like another writing book, but I was like, this is going to be so quick and small. It'll be like 6x9, very small. And you could read it in under 30 minutes. That's the goal. And you read it and you go, oh, I can use that for the rest of my life. That's the goal of the book. So that I should be finished with it in June. So next month, I should have it completely written. It's about 35% written. I'm working on it hardcore in June, and then I'll release it later this year. Yeah.
Nice. So
also,
when the book is out,
AI helps brainstorm very well with it. Yeah.
When the book is out, if you want to come back to the podcast, you're very welcome.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Love to talk about
it. Neville, we usually end these conversations here on the podcast with 2 questions. Very simple, but very important for me and for my audience. So do you want to share with us books and tools? So let's start with books. Do you have any really cool books that you, I don't know,
I have
reading
3
right now?
books. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 3 copywriting books. And I'm assuming you mean like content creation and things like that.
Yeah.
Number 1, Ogilvy on Advertising, written by the great legendary Ogilvy. And he talks about a lot of direct response back in the day. He would have loved the internet era if he had lived to see it. But he also talks about how to sell like a brand of rice to an entire country. Like if everyone buys this one brand of rice, how can you convince them to do it through television, through media, through all that kind of stuff? Brilliant, brilliant book. Very fun, very educating. Number 2 is Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. And that's by Jay Abraham. And he's a business consultant. He's written maybe 20, 30 books, but this one's my favorite. And it's not just about copywriting, but just like about selling in general. And he talks about all these different stories about how he's bought small companies and made them bigger through just creative marketing. Really good book. And then the last one I would recommend is going to be The Boron Letters by Gary Halbert. And this is free online. You can type in The Boron Letters, Gary Halbert, and find them. Chapters is 26 chapters, 1 through 26. Read those. I would suggest you print them out if you can, because that's how they were designed to be read. And what I would say is listen to the content and how he gets you to turn the page, like how he keeps you interested in a story. That notice what he's doing as he writes it. And he's a very interesting character. He's kind of crazy. The first 3 chapters are about more health than marketing, but he says how that's related to everything. And that's what got me into copywriting. It's launched so many careers. So The Boron Letters by Gary Halbert. Cool. And then lastly, you asked about a tool, right?
Yeah, tools. Do you have any?
What do you use to take notes?
Old school
notebook. Nice.
I mean, I use Notion. I use Notion a lot, but mostly notebook.
I mean, I use notes as well for my to-do list. But for notes, I do notice I used to use books, but the problem is I want to pull them up all the time and look at them, and I can't find them if I write them down. Whereas if I write them down in Google Note or Apple Notes or something like that, I can find them. So I use a combination of tools of Apple Notes, which it's always on my phone. It's easy and shares across all my devices. But the other thing is Google Keep. And I think that's like an undercover one that a lot of people don't realize. It's basically like Pinterest, your own Pinterest. Super easy. I have a Chrome extension. Anytime I like something, a tweet, an image, anything, I click that, boop, saves it, done. You could write a headline for it or no headline. You could write a description for it or no description. You could save the link, save an image, post a video, anything. It's so freaking easy. And it's just always updated across my phone, my computer, my web browser, anywhere. And anytime I need inspiration for something, I could just go on that. You could also tag stuff. So anytime you see a quote, you can tag it. And then I go through that, and it's my own like personal swipe file of stuff. So I have swipefile.com, but I also wanted like a personal version of stuff. And I save all sorts of crazy things in there. And you could put like 10 images in one post or one image, or it's so easy to use that Google Keep is one of those things where I'm like, I can't believe more people don't know about it. And then if you have thousands of notes, you just click export and it puts it all in a Google Doc for you, images, quotes, everything. It's fantastic. And it's free. And it works with all of your Google products. So if you use Gmail, if you use Google Drive, in the right-hand sidebar, there's likely a little icon right there that you've never seen. It's a yellow icon just sitting right there. You click it. Yeah. That's Google Keep.
I never clicked.
It's already, you never clicked it, but it's right there. I'm on my Gmail right now. I click Google Keep. All my notes are right there. Just drag it right in, right there. Nice. And you probably didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Very powerful tool. Very powerful tool. Yeah.
Neville, do you want to share with us any links where they can find you, read you, follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all over the web. I have to say the number one place is go to copywritingkourse.com. Just type that in. The first page, have an email sign up. Just sign up for that. If you don't like it, you could unsubscribe, but I think I have a really good autoresponder of emails. So that's how you follow me. And then you could also find me on YouTube. I have a podcast and we do videos and all that kind of stuff. We have 100,000 plus subscribers. And you type in copywriting with a K and you'll just find me, or you can type in Neville Medhora. Also on Amazon, a lot of people buy my book. And that's just like an easy, fun thing. It's $5 or $10, super cheap, teach you to get better at copywriting. The main thing is on Copywriting Course, we have a membership. It's $99 a month or $750 a year if you want to save a bunch of money. And basically what we do is we teach you copywriting, but also you get access for a whole year to this community where you can post your stuff and we go and rewrite it, myself and other professional copywriters and people in the community. And then every week we do a live office hours like this, where 8 people will get on a call and we just work on your stuff. So it's like free consulting. And so those are the 2 most valuable things. So join Copywriting Course. And here's the thing, let's say you spend $750 for a year to join. If I update one email of yours or change a pricing strategy and you get 2 more customers, you more than pay for your entire thing. So people will get like one change on their page and be like, holy crap, this made 25% more money and like 10x my return on that. So our goal is always a 10x anything you spend with us. So copywritingcourse.com and join. It's probably the absolute best way to get started. Yeah.
Nice. I'll leave all the links in the description below. Neville, thank you so much for this. It was great. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. Great to meet you. And thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify to stay updated on new episodes. With your support, I can continue to bring great content and great guests to this podcast. So hit the subscribe button now and I'll see you in the next episode.